Hello. Today is January the 13th, 2020. Yeah. I'm still not entirely used to saying the New Year's year yet. I got used to it. So, I'm in my lab, as you can probably see, with the code and everything. I just finished some work, had a little break, and I thought I'd make another video of this for future references. Actually, I struggled with whether to come to the lab or not, because I've been really addicted to Total War Warhammer 2. It's a coping mechanism I do to myself, just to keep myself busy, so I don't really think of happy things. And it turns out it's too addictive. So I literally, today's a Monday, so I literally thought, I just stay at home and call for sick. I don't even have to call for sick. My boss doesn't really care if I come or not. So, but I still came. Yeah. So today, what I have in mind is let's talk a little bit about the recent situation between Iran and the United States. First of all, let me say that I am not a analyst nor a commentator. So I'm just an average nobody who just wanted to share a little opinion on this matter, and I have no I don't really care to go to go to internet to verify what I'm going to say, the evidence, what actually happened or whatever. It's just a personal opinion, unverified, unfiltered. So because I don't care who's going to watch except myself in the future when I'm bored. All right, let's get to it. So also what I want to point out is that I am speaking as a third country person. No, a person from a third country. Wait, how do you? Because I'm from China, and this matter is between Iran and the United States. So I'm those are two countries. I'm from the third country. But how do you not sound like a third world country? Because you know what I mean. So I'm an outsider, pretty much. Well, nobody's really an outsider when it comes to the United States doing stuff to the world. Everybody's affected, but relatively outsider. So let me try to be unbiased, although it's gonna be hard. Okay, so let's get to it. Enough. Useless talks, like stalling talks. All right, so let me go back as far as I can remember or care to remember. Let's go back to the Iran deal. You probably have heard of it. You probably have not. It was a deal that Iran made with the United States and Europe countries. And I don't know if there are other parties, but those are the three I can remember. So the deal specified that Iran cannot concentrate its uranium-235 isotope, I think, which is necessary to make atomic bombs. So Iran, according to the deal, Iran cannot concentrate its uranium-235 up, above 3.6%, I think. Yeah, it's 3-something%. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's around 3-4%. So that's the deal. And if you know anything about physics or how to make atomic bombs, you would know that the threshold of making atomic bomb is a concentrated uranium-235 as like 90%, like 90, not 9 or 19, 90% concentrated uranium-235. So if Iran had vibed for the deal, there's no way he's gonna make. They're gonna make atomic bombs. The deal was for 10 years, so at least for this 10 years, Iran cannot do that. After that, maybe a new deal will come. Maybe he'll do that. I don't know. But for this 10 years, Iran, according to the deal, have no chance of making atomic bombs. So, generally, a person will be happy about the deal. A person in the United States, of course, because that means Iran is weak to them. So, and also according to the there's an agency, the International something reported is a pretty credible report that Iran had always abide by the deal. It did not break anything. So so far so good, right? And then until earlier this year, earlier last year, because it's already 2020, that happened in 2019. Donald Trump, which is the 45th president of the United States, is a crazy guy, and he pulled out the Iran deal. He thought, the United States is paying too much for keeping Iran for doing something he should have done in the first place, which is not making atomic bombs, but forgetting that America is the first country ever to develop and use atomic bombs on civilians in Japan. So Donald Trump is a businessman, so he thought the deal's not worth it, so he pulled out. Okay, so that's the background, sort of a background. It's not really directly related. I just want to point, because it has something to do with the things I'm going to talk later. Okay, so then what happened was, I think in late 2019, a U.S. contractor was reported or allegedly killed in Iran. What kind of contract it is, a weapon contractor or furniture contractor, I don't know. He was killed in Iran, and apparently Donald Trump blamed Iran for it. So that's where the grudges started to build. And then I think it was January the 6th of this year, 2020, or January the 5th. I don't know. Again, I don't really care enough to go on the internet or look for reports to verify what I'm saying. I'm not really, I don't care. So roughly on January the 6th of this year, Donald Trump ordered a drone strike on Iranian top military general something Soleimani. I don't really remember his last name. And that was a bomb news to the world. Because can you think about it? Like, two countries. One country has a top military general, and he was killed without, the declaration of war, without fair warning, without proof of guilty, by a foreign country's president ordering a drone strike. It's a plain assassination, right? From that, you can kind of see how bullying America is. But let's talk about that later. Let's talk about what happened for now. So from what I gathered from the internet, Soleimani was a top military general who just defeated ISIS, and he was killed in Iraq on he just got out of the plane. And also a lot of people were working with him or for him at the time, around him, were killed as well, because it's a drone strike, because there's an explosion or something. It's not like a snipe. So I mean, happened so many times. United States killing unrelated innocent civilians or other people as casualties. It's not even some news, so I'm not even gonna go deep in that. So what happened was, he was in Iraq for a peace mission. He just defeated ISIS, and he was in Iraq for a peace mission, and he was assassinated by United States drone strikes. So that was really huge, right? So next day, Donald Trump claimed that he was a terrorist. We killed him for a reason. We never kill people just because we want. We just kill him because he was planning an imminent threat on the United States. Evidence? Not at all. No evidence. Why do I need evidence when I can just order drone strikes to kill anybody I want anywhere around the world, right? That's how U.S. does things. So needless to say, Iran was pissed off. I remember there was images and videos about the day Soleimani on the day of his funeral. His body was carried in a truck or something, in a car, and moved to the place where they're gonna bury him. And the street was so crowded, you can't even move anywhere. Like people next to people. It's like, if you've ever been to I don't really have an analogy, like one of those really famous tourist places in a summer break, you get the feeling. Except it's 10 times more crowded than that. Like, almost. I mean, this is probably not a very good joke, but the crowd makes the crowd in Donald Trump's amendment speech. Wait, what is it called? Presidential announcement? No, like the day he took office. Announcement? Holy shit! Forgot the word. Anyway, the crowd is 10 times bigger, makes the crowd of Donald Trump's announcement, I'm going to go with that, announcement speech ashamed, right? So it's a very big crowd. And obviously they're there to show they're to mourn General Soleimani and to protest what U.S. did to Iran. That makes me think of the Great Revolution in France, because it's really similar in that a general, I think in the Revolution in France, the general's name was General Lamarck. He passed away, not because of assassination or something, he just passed away. And people using the opportunity of his day of funeral to rally people against the government. It's a revolution. It failed in the end. Les Mis is a very good depiction of it. I love that show, the drama. Anyway, I digress. So, like I said, Iranians were pissed off. Wouldn't you be pissed if one of your top military general was assassinated on not U.S. soil, not your own country, but another country, when he was doing a peace mission with no evidence at all of what they claimed him to be, like a terrorist? Anybody, any country with balls will be pissed off. So obviously, Iran would do something in response, like anything in response. So what happened was 2 days later, I think, on January the okay, I'm not gonna try to pinpoint the date because I don't want to be quoted on this. Who cares? So a few days later, Iran fired a dozen missile strikes or rocket launchers, so I don't know what, like weapons, on a military base of the United States in Iraq. Yeah, so as a retaliation, of course. Now you would think things will escalate after that, because who dares to fire missiles on a military base of the United States and get away with it? The United States has to respond to something, right? Like a war, maybe? I don't know. I don't like wars. I think a war is the worst thing you can have. I mean, it's even worse than slavery. Wait. Slavery is probably worse than a war. I don't know. They kind of go neck and neck there. Okay, it's a very bad analogy because I wanted to show a comparison how bad war is. And I think of the one thing that is probably worse than a war, because I would rather go to a war and fight and die instead of being a slave for the rest of my life. Serving other people with no freedom. Which is what a lot of people are actually doing. They think they have freedom. They think their lives are not slavery, but they are. Like modern slavery. I don't know what it's called. Capitalism? Okay, so I digress. Where was I? Right, so Iranians, and people thought there's probably going to be a war between the U.S. and Iran because Iran's response is so aggressive, like firing missiles on a military base. But it did not happen. So Donald Trump gave a speech next morning after the strike. It says, as long as I'm president, Iran would never have nuclear weapons. Good morning. That's really weird. And then he said no Americans were killed, no casualties at all. And it seems that Iran was stepping down. So a crisis just just vanished. Now, here's what I think of what actually happened. Because the suspicious part is that you fire a dozen, whether it's rocket batteries, no, not rocket batteries, I've been playing Warhammer too much. There's a house green rocket battery, it's an artillery in the game. Anyway, you fire a dozen missiles in a military base full of soldiers and what I think is to be, people. There's a lot of people there. And there's no casualties, not even a scratch on any of the soldiers. I saw a report this morning on CNN. It says a U.S. soldier looking really frustrated and probably crying, saying, "I was ready to die at the time," but he didn't die, right? He didn't even get a scratch. Because think about it. You fire a dozen missiles in a military base, you would expect at least somebody is hurt by the shockwave, the fire or whatever. But no, none. Not even one whatsoever. So how is that possible? It's possible because, in my opinion, and many others, that the United States knew the strike was going to happen before it actually happened. So they prepare for it. They evacuate the people. They make sure nobody's hurt. That's the only logical, reasonable explanation. Now that gives you two possible options why that happened. Why the United States knew the strike was going to be. So the first situation is that the United States has a very good intelligence system. They have people inside the Iranian government. They have satellites. They have, they're really good at predicting what the Iranians are going to do. So they knew this attack before it could happen, and they prepared for it. So nobody was hurt. Is that possible? I'm gonna say no, because think about it. A guy like Donald Trump. Okay, he's the president of the United States. He's also the chief commander of the military. So anything goes to him in the end, ultimately, especially for something this big. So if the United States actually detected an attack before it could happen, don't you think he's gonna, brag about it to the public? He's gonna say something like, "Oh, we're so good. We're able to detect the attack before it happens, so we make sure nobody was hurt, and now, blah blah blah." Don't you think he's gonna do that? Of course he is. Also, if the United States actually detected an attack before it happened, don't you think that they're gonna do some kind of retaliation as well? Like, "Oh, you dare to attack me, motherfucker? I'm gonna fuck you over," something like that. Also, think about the logic here. Donald Trump claimed that Soleimani was planning some kind of terrorist attack against the United States, so he took him out using drone strikes. Now, if he actually detected there was a not imminent threat, actual threat to the United States military base, don't you think he's gonna, order some kind of retaliation? No, he did not. So it's not possible. It's not possible that the United States, itself detected the attack beforehand. So that leaves with only one possibility, which is that Iran pre-warned the United States through some kind of method, whether it is directly or through a third party. It's pretty much saying Iran told the United States, "Hey man, look, I have a lot of angry people at home, angry people on Soleimani's funeral. They want revenge." Actually, 50 something people died because of people stepping onto each other, and the funeral was really, really horrible. I have to answer to that kind of anger in my country. But again, bro, don't get me wrong. I don't want to, actually start a war with you. I'm not stupid. Nobody wants to start a war with the United States. So I'm gonna, fire some weapons on one of your military base. I'm telling you now so you can get everybody evacuated, so nobody has to get hurt. This is just a show. After that, people's anger will be answered. I'll tell them I killed like 80 something American people, which I did not, of course. I mean, they don't have access to internet, so who the fuck cares what they are gonna do? So let's call it in, shall we? Yeah, that's pretty much more official way or the more secret code way, but that's what the Iranians did. They told the United States what they're gonna do. That's the only explanation. The United States took the deal. They don't want to what is the word I'm looking for? They don't want to escalate the situation. So they took it. Okay, do that. I'll evacuate my people, and nobody has to hurt. And then the next day, Trump gave a speech about, "Oh, things are going well, blah blah blah." Okay, so that was about it. Up until now. Okay, there's something else later has sort of related I wanted to talk about, but a lot of people are expecting war. They're not getting it. It's of course a good thing. Nobody wants a war except China. Okay, I'm saying this was the most cynical view I can think of, because you know what? After 9/11, the United States focused a lot of its attention, pretty much all of its attention, on anti-terrorism, on Middle Eastern affairs. So do you know what that did? That gave China a very, very good golden 10 years of development. United States not doing anything to restrict China from doing its own development. China has a very, very valuable and it is golden 10 years of trying to develop its best. Now, the United States did not want to give China that. It's limited to his powers. I cannot limit China and both the Middle East in the same time. 100% the way I want to do it. So a lot of people in China are actually expecting this war. Look, I'm not I'm not defending like the 9/11 terrorists. They're of course horrible. Like nobody should ever in their life experience the experience where you work in a building and then a plane crashes on your floor and then kill you, or your loved ones are just experience something like that and you're devastated. Nobody ever should experience something like that. Terrorists are horrible, but the fact is, the 9/11 attack actually forced America to give China a window of opportunity to develop itself. Does China want the 9/11 to happen? Of course not. But is China appreciating the opportunity after it happens, after the damage is already done? Of course it is. So I've been reading on the internet, like there's some people saying horrible things about, I wish the United States and Iran could go at each other and start a war so China can have another 10 years, just like we had after 9/11. My feelings towards that are mixed. I'm from China, so I want the best for my own country, and I don't want anybody to get hurt by that. Like, two countries start a war, third country like China is getting the advantage of it. If China can just have the advantage of that without any war, of course I would like that, but it's impossible. So the idea of Iran and America go to war and China have the advantage of it it's mixed feelings. I'm gonna be honest. Like, come on. If you can't be honest like that, how do you have any kind of discussion at all? All right, so there's that. It seems that the whole thing is going down, going away, not going down, going away. Funny enough, this is what the United States always do, claiming itself to be defensive. Like everything by definition that the United States does is defensive. Like the United States is always saying, we're not, being aggressive or something. We're just, other people picked on us and we're forced to respond. We're neutralizing the threat before it happens. So it's a very interesting joke about during the war between China and Vietnam. So like, because China is always claiming itself to be like non-aggressive, like defensive all the time, and there's this reporter asking the Chinese officials like, hey, so it's been reported that your rockets, your cannons, your artilleries hit the Vietnam people before they hit you. So if you're claiming yourself to be defensive all the time, non-aggression all the time, how's that happen? So I don't know if that's true or just a joke, but the explanation given by Chinese officials is like, you know what? We're really good at detecting when their artillery start to fire. So right after their artilleries fire, our artilleries fire as well. And we have better artillery, so our cannons travel faster. The bomb travel faster than theirs. So actually they fired first, we fired later, but our cannons hit their territory first. Oh my God. Everyone knows it's a joke. I mean, no matter what happened in history about that question, everyone knows it's a joke. Like, it's a hypocritical kind of thing. And United States is always doing something similar. Claiming someone is planning a attack on you, so we strike first, is exactly like what I just told in the joke. And that be like, I don't even care to go through all the things the United States does to prove that it's actually the aggressive one. But just think about this. There's a kid, like when you're in school and there's always a bully in the class, right? Is there ever a situation where the strongest, the biggest, the most powerful kid is a defensive one? Is there ever a situation like that? Is there ever a situation where that person is claiming, you know what, I'm never the aggressive one, I'm always defensive, people just pick on me, so I'm forced to respond to knock their asses off? Does that sound reasonable to you? Is it more reasonable to have that person to be the aggressive one? Because who would ever pick on the strongest kid? Are they like stupid or something? They're probably a stupid kid, but there are no stupid countries, because in a country there are a lot of people, smart people always rule. I mean, and to you Americans who are probably watching this, the United States is always the one that is being aggressive. Always, there's the term, the Pacific Ocean Police. You just want to meddle everything. everything, and claiming itself to be the defensive ones. And I understand how American people can buy that. They want to feel better, but come on, honestly, you know. So this Iran thing is yet another example or proof of that. The United States took out a top military general of another nation through drone strikes. It's an assassination, and the other country has to beg for, like I just said, has to, do some kind of show, this retaliation show, to make sure their people's anger are answered, and the United States is not actually pissed off because they're afraid of more attacks. There's something else just happened this morning or yesterday. I don't know. I didn't check the news yesterday, so it could have been yesterday. So a Ukraine plane was crashed in Iranian soil, killed like 200 something people. Everybody on this plane. It's a very tragic loss to those people's families. It's a very big tragedy. So people are trying to figure out what happened to the plane, because it seems like a lot of plane problems recently. Like, planes are the most, statistically speaking, planes are the safest way to travel. It kills the least amount of people per person traveling through plane. Actually, there's a statistic says that there are less people killed by plane crashes than people killed by donkeys every year. Like, I wouldn't want to be one of those people who are killed by donkeys, and so that tells you how many people are there like that, like really few, right? So planes are pretty safe, but there are a lot of plane malfunctions, crashes recently. There's one that happened in, I don't know where, but it launches, the plane just left the runway and then hit a building, like before it can actually go up to the sky. Not a lot of people were killed there, but again, you're worried about the plane safety. So I digress. Anyway, their intelligence saying it was Iran who shot down the plane. First of all, it doesn't really make any sense. I mean, if you want to shut down planes, shut down American planes, right? Ukraine planes, and they're like, because the destination is to Iran, I think. So there are like 100 something people are Iranians, its own people. So you wouldn't want to shut down a plane like that. And at first, Iran, the nation, denied of something like this. Like, it denies any responsibility whatsoever when it comes to that. But I think it was today or yesterday, Iran actually admit that by mistake they shot down a plane heading towards them. So it was actually Iran's mistake. Whether it is a mistake or intentions, I don't know. But this tells you something. This tells you that Iran, like a lot of people think Iran is a very powerful military country as well, because it has how many people, like 80 million people, I think, and like some people rate it to be the top 10 strongest military countries on this planet. So, but this tells you something. Okay, first of all, after the assassination of Soleimani, Iran has to be like really nervous. There have to be some kind of preparation of war, and their nerves are really like just holding like this. So this mistake, if it is really a mistake, tells you how chaotic the commanding level of Iran is. Like, when it actually comes to war, Iran's gonna make more mistakes like this. So even if it's probably true that Iran is a very strong military country, and also it has, miles away, thousands of miles away, compared to the United States. Like, the difference between the strongest country on this planet and the second strongest is probably bigger than the second and the last, when it comes to military abilities. And hands down, America is still the strongest military-wise on this planet. Probably still is, in my lifetime, or forever. I don't think anything is forever, but in my lifetime, in the next 50 years, the United States is probably still going to be the strongest country on this planet, at least military-wise. So, and it's a bully because it does things that will shock you. Like, remember the time the United States bombed Chinese embassy in Nansilafu? How do you say that? I don't know. It's a country. Like, it does that all the time. So Yeah, that's pretty much the whole thing. My comments are already in this video, so I don't know if there's ever gonna be any continuation of this method of this issue. Like, I was hoping it would there's some kind of war, not because I want war to happen where I care too much about Chinese opportunity to develop, and just because I invest a lot of money in the stock market to short the market. And if there's a war, if there's a war, the stock market is, I don't know. Yeah. So the guy in my my financial advisor told me that the market is not like any surprises. So even if it's a good surprise, sometimes it can tank the market. So a war is definitely bad for the market, and since I'm shorting the market, the war is good for me financially, because I'm suffering a lot of financial situations recently. I have to pay $4,500 of medical bills for my surgery. Like, what the fuck, right? That's after insurance. The surgery costs like $80,000. So 10% is like I have to pay 10% for some of those, not fully deducted, like waived. So I could really use some money now. Okay, I digress. That's it. I'll see you next time.